ما أوحي إليك من الكتاب وأقم الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر. That read that which has been revealed to you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and establish the salah, because the salah is something that will prevent you, stop you from evil and indecency. And the remembrance of God is surely the greatest thing, and Allah is fully aware of whatever you do. Now this verse tells us two things. First, to read the Quran, and secondly, it gives the command that we should do the salah. Aqim salah, establish the prayer. Now, people complain that there are lots of namazis who still do evil things, are still doing wrong things, but they are namazis. So, what is this verse of Quran meaning then? It appears as though it's not quite true. It's not right. Brothers, that is not the case. If you see a namazi who is indulging in evil, then he is not muqim salah. He is not a musalli. He hasn't actually done the iqamat salah. And the meaning of, the Quran never says pray namaz, does it? It actually says yuqimun salah or aqimus salah. Or when it describes them, it says hum da'imuna. They are regular in it. They are consistent in it. They have the habit of regularly and properly praying salah. And the ulama, when they translate this word, iqamatu salah, they say that iqamatu shay means tawfiyatuhul haq. And giving it its full rights, fulfilling its obligations and conditions and requirements. Only then is that thing iqamus. Only then is it established. So we are told to establish the salah. But in order to establish the salah means we have to actually carry out all its requirements. All the conditions have to be fulfilled. In other words, we have to do it with our hearts and minds. We don't just do it mechanically. And when it's done in that way, only then does it have the real effect. When the Sahaba complained to the Prophet ﷺ about one of the young disciples who used to come and pray, but also was doing a lot of wrong things in the rest of his time. Okay? He was stealing from here, swearing, and he had bad habits, bad character. And they complained, Ya Rasulullah, do something about this nutter. He's not right. We've got to do something about it. And Rasulullah said to him, Da'hu, leave him. Let him alone. Tanhahu salah. Soon the salah will stop him from his evil and wrong ways. It wasn't long before the disciples again came in remorsefully and regretfully and in apologizing to the Prophet that we made the mistake of being judgmental about this young man. He is now wonderful. He's left his bad habits. He really is now thoughtful and righteous person. And the Prophet ﷺ said, didn't I tell you that the salah will have this impact on him? He prays with us and he's doing the right things. This will have an impact on him. Brothers, salah is one of the great gifts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we need to recognize it. There's a story about this worldly man, rich worldly man, who had a wife who was very conscious, who was God conscious, a righteous and a pious lady, who used to pray a lot. And he used to say to her, what do you get from this salah of yours? What do you get from this prayer of yours? You spend so much time doing it. And her response was always, I am doing it for the pleasure of my Lord. And sadly, many people think and ask this question. The worldly people will ask, what do you get out of this? So much time you spend in the prayer, what do you get out of it? Brothers, salah in itself is not so that you would get something in return for it in the worldly sense. It is in itself a purpose. It in itself is the objective. Itself is the outcome. How? Rasulullah said, جُعِلَتْ قُرَّةُ عَيْنِي فِي الصَّلَاةِ. He said, I get happiness, I get solitude, I get real coolness of eye in my salah. For him, whenever he was faced with any difficulty or problem, or whenever he was worried, what would he do? Aisha radiallahu ta'ala tells us that he would rush to the masjid and pray nafil. He would engage himself in the salah and pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For that, for him, was a means of connecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Salah is really your chance, your opportunity to meet Allah, to stand before Him. No wonder, Jalaluddin Rumi, rahimahullah, says, how dare you stand before the King of Kings, the Lord of the universe, the Creator of the whole heavens and the earth? Who are you to stand before this great and mighty King? And you stand so proudly before Him. Why and how? How can you do that? He says, you stand there because you are His Khalifa. You are His vicegerent. You are His representative. And because of that, you stand before Him. So this salah in itself is really a purpose. In itself is the aim. Of course, it has its own impact, its own value and its own effect on us. There's no doubt that salah has an impact, an effect on us. But the greatest impact and the effect is really that our faith deepens. We begin to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remember what I said? We have something great, but we don't perhaps recognize it. Like that man who's looking for the acres of diamond in some part of Africa and doesn't realize that the diamonds are in his own backyard, are in his own field, are in his own farm. There they are. Like that farmer, sadly, perhaps we do not recognize and see the value, the pearls that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given in our hands, has taught us through the glorious Quran and through the teachings of Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Let us just reflect and ponder on that, brothers, what Allah has given us. This salah is really a means of communication where we can pour out our love of God, where we can begin to come close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Amongst the many effects of the salah is one mentioned in Surah Al-Ma'arij, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ خُلِقَ هَلُوءًا إِذَا مَصَّهُ الشَّرُّ جَزُوعًا وَإِذَا مَصَّهُ الْخَيْرُ مَنُوعًا إِلَّا الْمُصَلِّينَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ دَاعِمُونَ. Allah says that man is indeed very anxious, very fretful and worried, and he is very miserly. Three very big problems with man and his character. Okay? Impatient, anxious, worried, and very miserly, greedy, in other words. Ya Allah, are all people like that? The Quran says, إِلَّا الْمُصَلِّينَ, except those who are the worshippers, except those who pray, except those who are engaged in the salah. Just reflect on that. On the Day of Judgment, when the people of hell will be asked, مَا سَلَكَكُمْ فِي سَقَرٍ, what has brought you here in hellfire? What will their response be? Even they will be able to say, نَحْنُ لَمْ نَقُمْ مِنَ الْمُصَلِّينَ, we were not of those who used to pray. Brothers, Allah has blessed us with a great gift, a wonderful exercise, a spiritual exercise that really will not only enlighten us, not only reconnect us with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but really can transform our character, transform us in the real sense. It really is a transforming exercise. It's really urge everybody. Let us, inshallah, be those who pray regularly, those who pray with true humility and focused and in a concentrated way. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم.